Well, another delayed game due to a pretty big storm, but I want to talk about the perfect storm that is developing on this Texas A&M football team, and that is Connor Weigman peaking at the end of last year, coming into this new look Bobby Petrino offense, and looking like an absolute stud out there. It's the absolute highlight of this team right now. 3 games into the year, Texas A&M has surpassed their highest point total in 2022 in all 3 games this year so far. And Connor Weigman is taking no small part in that. He is an absolute baller, guys. He is able to run. He keeps his eyes up while running. You don't need perfect protection with Connor, which gives this offensive line time to figure things out. They're still kind of shaky, not perfect yet. With a quarterback like Connor, you have time. You have time to figure out your offensive line, which is looking better, taking steps week to week. A lot of people missed today. No Evan Stewart. Noah Thomas got banged up and left the game early, which is a little bit scary. No Bryce Foster offensively. And Connor was still able to go out there and pass for 86% efficiency on the day. What a player, guys. What a guy we have at the helm of this offense. It's been a long time since Texas A&M had such, not just a good quarterback, not just a solid quarterback, but a guy that appears to be a star quarterback. I don't think we've had that kind of a player since Johnny Manziel. And Kellen Mond was great in 2020. I liked Kellen Mond in 2020. A lot of people still didn't. But it's undeniable that Connor is absolutely that guy this year. If he can sustain this level of play going into SEC play, there are Heisman talks on the horizon for Connor Weigman the way he's playing right now. He did 337 yards passing, 1 touchdown passing, 1 touchdown rushing in under 3 quarters of play. And I know it's against inferior opponents, but Texas A&M struggled against this level of opponent last year. So we'll take it. We'll take it as a positive sign going into this Auburn game. Defensively, it was a little scary early, giving up 120-ish yards in the first quarter, a really, really bad, scary drive where the DBs looked out of it once again early in the game. That drive that ended up with ULM's only 3 points on the afternoon. But after that, they locked in. They were able to get coverage locked in and honed in. They weren't able to find any more big plays. And they found a little bit of a quarterback rush from a couple of players. Of course, the game cut off early, so we didn't see the last few plays. I'll be able to probably review those for y'all and tell you what I think of the rest of the game tomorrow, because I'm sure it'll be on demand through ESPN. I hope so. It's a pretty bad showing by ESPN today, but that's besides the point. But one of the last plays we saw before we lost the game was Malik Silla coming up with a big sack. I've been calling for Malik Silla on 3rd down plays the whole year. We haven't seen much of it. But it seems like every time he's in there in a true pass rush scenario, he gets pressure or, as he did today, a sack. Shamar Turner got a sack today, and there wasn't much consistent pass rush, but these couple of guys that I think have emerged as consistent pass rushers for whenever they're able to cut loose and go for it. The DBs locked in late, and the coverage was really solid. They couldn't move the ball. Gap assignment has improved because that was an issue with every opponent Texas A&M faced last year. Running backs squirting through that line of scrimmage, finding daylight. But the linebackers, Torian York, Edgerrin Cooper, you don't worry about them anymore. You feel really, really good about the discipline, covering all the running lanes, making sure that there's no space for these running backs to squeeze out of there because we know this defensive line is going to wreak havoc on running plays. It's looking very solid going forward. I feel very good about this run stop. I love the emergence of Jacoby Matthews today. He ended up starting because Jardin Gilbert was out defensively. Tyreek Chappelle was out defensively. We saw Deuce Harmon start because Tony Grimes was also out. So just a lot of nicks and knacks on this team right now. A little bit scary, but it did seem like a kind of a game where you would risk resting them. Minor stuff, keeping them out, where they could have played in maybe a bigger, higher profile kind of a game. But I really liked what I saw from Jacoby Matthews, being at the right place at the right time, not out of position. Some good moments in coverage later in this game as it went on. I have to rewatch it, of course, as I always do, but it did feel like this defense really locked in as the game went on. And Texas A&M covered. Texas A&M held an opponent to 3 points. And I know it's ULM, but they had to show it. They had to show it against these opponents, against this level of opponent, and they did just that. So what's the trajectory of this team going into conference play? Auburn becomes the biggest game of the year. After that Miami loss, I've been saying you don't have a cushion over these next 4 games. And the SEC West is wide ass open right now. We saw Alabama struggle on the road versus South Florida. I don't know what they're thinking putting in those other two quarterbacks. I thought Jalen Milroe was kind of the guy they should have lived and died by, but I'm not paid to do that, so that's their decision to make. But it really seems strange that they're trying these two quarterbacks. Nothing really going for Alabama right now. We saw LSU struggle in week 1, even though they dominated Mississippi State today, who looks pretty bad. So that's a game that I thought A&M might slip up on. Now that Mississippi State game looks totally different with the way A&M looks and the way they look. Ole Miss and Arkansas, still a couple of question marks. I don't think they're world beaters, but we don't know yet. They could be pretty damn good by the time A&M plays them. But the point is, this thing is wide open. I think A&M is trending the right way. I know we feel bad after that Miami game, but we'll feel a lot better if they're able to win these next 3 winnable games. Auburn, Arkansas, and now Alabama becomes so winnable. We still need to sell out Kyle Field. We still need to treat it like it's the Alabama of old, because with our luck, they're going to figure things out by the time they come to College Station. Jake Johnson getting involved. I didn't mention him. He's getting involved in a major way in the passing game, and after Donovan Green went down, we were thinking that someone would probably emerge, whether it was him, maybe Theo, Max Wright, but it really looks like the guy we thought it would be is becoming that guy, and that's Jake Johnson, coming up with big grab after big grab, really reliable hands now. I can't wait for Donovan and him to be on the field together, but for this year, Jake Johnson looks like he could be that guy. Offensive line, I think they gave Connor enough protection while Connor was in there. It broke down really bad once Max Johnson got in there. It broke down a couple times with Connor, but compared to last year, I think this offensive line is in a much better place. I still saw some issues between the center and the left guard. I don't know what it is. Bryce wasn't there this game, but I still saw some issues picking up twists and blitz between those two positions. Once again, I'll rewatch the game. I'll report with you guys tomorrow evening. But I think the offensive line showed promise. I know a lot of people are down on it, but I think it's in a lot better place. The running game got going today. Let me pull up the stats and see how many rushing yards Texas A&M got today. It felt more productive today. I don't know if the numbers will reflect it. 158 yards rushing. It's not great. We want it to go higher than that, but if Connor's going to be throwing for 350 yards, I think we can live with that. Just enough to balance this thing out, make them think. I really like the trajectory of Reuben Owens. Le'Veon Moss coming back from injury. He runs so hard, man. Le'Veon Moss is like a stud out there. And then Amari's looking like the old reliable kind of a guy, just the steady heartbeat in that running back room. But Reuben's going to keep getting better. That running back room and the offensive line, they're just going to improve, guys. And I'm not ready to say A&M's winning the West or anything like that. I just think there's a lot to be excited for, specifically offensively, and with how shaky the West looks. And Tennessee looked like they're in a dogfight. I just watched the beginning of the game versus Florida. I don't know what Tennessee's going to be, man. This thing's wide open for A&M. If they can keep improving week on week with the level of quarterback play they're getting from Connor Weigman, I think the sky's the limit. I think Miami's a pretty good team. I think it was an early road test for A&M. A lot of things working against A&M that game. I think they're able to move past that and win these next 3 games. And it started great with this Monroe showing. It wasn't a game that I thought we would learn a ton from, but it ended up being a game we can feel good about and feel good about this team moving forward from. So what are your thoughts on the game, guys? Comment down below what your big takeaways were. Mine continues to be that Connor's that guy. We have tight ends emerging. This O-line is improving. Not perfect, but improving. Tight ends are showing up. Defense held them to 3 points, and we can feel good about the win. So with that, I'll see you tomorrow after I watch the game. It'll come out tomorrow around Sunday evening. Thanks for watching. Gig 'em.